Today, we're going to break down a scam that doesn't happen on the dark web or in some shadowy back alley. Nope, this one happens in plain sight, right in the heart of a community where the most valuable thing you have is trust. And it's a story about how that very trust can be turned into a devastating weapon. So, picture a neighborhood like Washwood Heath. Life there is really built on shared faith and just relying on each other. In a place like that, trust isn't just some nice idea. It's the actual currency that makes everything work. It's what you trade when you need a favor or ask a neighbor to watch your kids. It is the absolute foundation of everything. But here's the thing about something so powerful. That unspoken bond, it can be twisted. And in the wrong hands, that currency of trust becomes a weapon, used to exploit the very people who value it the most. This is a story about how that weapon was wielded with, well, surgical precision. At the center of this story, you've got two women. Their lives are about to become tragically tangled, and they really represent the two faces of this community, one who helped build it and one who saw it as her personal hunting ground. On one side, you have Aisha Begum. She is a mother of four, a volunteer, basically the kind of person who is the absolute bedrock of her community. And on the other side, Ghazala Din. Now, she was charismatic, she blended in perfectly, but there was always an eye for a subtle designer label and a calculating mind hidden just beneath that friendly surface. While Aisha saw sisters, Ghazala saw targets. So how does a hunt like this even begin? It all starts with a pitch. But not just any pitch, one that is perfectly tailored to its audience, one designed to completely bypass any skepticism by appealing directly to faith, to identity, and to shared values. Just listen to these words. Seriously, every single one is chosen to disarm you. Sister, right there, an immediate intimate bond. Private scheme. That creates a sense of exclusivity, like you're being let in on a secret. And then the killer combo, halal returns, no interest, no risk. It makes it sound not just safe, but, divinely blessed. It is a masterclass in manipulation. And here it is. This was the hook. A promised profit of £9,000 for an investment of just £3,000, money Aisha and her husband had carefully saved. Ghazala promised a return of £12,000, and get this, in just 6 months. For a family working hard to get by, this wasn't just some offer. It was the promise of a completely different life. Now, this wasn't some clumsy lie. It was a carefully constructed trap built on 4 psychological pillars. First, it appealed directly to their faith by being halal, making it feel righteous. Second, it created exclusivity. This was for sisters only, so you felt chosen, special. Third, she used social proof, faked WhatsApp messages from other women, making it seem like everybody was winning. And finally, she invented authority. A casual mention of a relative in compliance. That's a word that just sounds official and safe, right? So Aisha handed over the cash. And for a little while, there was hope. But that hope, it soon started to curdle into anxiety and then into fear, as the promises started to fray, and the architect of the whole scheme just slowly vanished into silence. For the first couple of months, everything seemed fine. But then month 3 hits and the excuses begin, really vague, unverifiable problems. Then by month 5, you get the cruelest phase, the silence. Ghazala didn't block Aisha. No, she left her messages on read. It's that constant passive reminder that you're being seen and ignored. The agony finally peaked in month 6 with a gut-wrenching phone call and the 4 little words that confirmed her absolute worst fears. She got me too. And with that discovery, Aisha became a victim of a very specific and a particularly cruel type of crime, affinity fraud. It's a scam that literally weaponizes identity. The predator joins a group, could be a church, a club, an ethnic community, and then uses the built-in trust of that group to defraud its own members from the inside. So how did the scam actually work? Well, the mechanics were deceptively simple. It was basically an informal Ponzi scheme, using money from new victims to pay off the early investors. And those early investors, they became walking, talking advertisements for her, creating this irresistible illusion of success. The mosque and its WhatsApp groups were her fishing ground. She even had accomplices she paid on commission. And crucially, it all relied on verbal, sisterly trusts. No paper trail. Nothing to trace. Look,
This was not some victimless financial crime. The money, that was just the beginning. The real damage was measured in broken relationships, shattered trust, and that quiet, corrosive shame that follows when you've been betrayed by one of your own.
For Aisha, the fallout was just catastrophic. The financial loss was devastating, sure, but it also poisoned her marriage, creating this awful resentment with her husband. She felt too ashamed to even go to the mosque, isolating herself from the very community she loved. And her distress, it trickled down to her children, who could feel the tension and sadness in their own home. Her entire world had been destabilized. And what was Ghazala's reaction to all this devastation? This quote, spoken to an accomplice, it reveals this chilling lack of remorse. It's not just callous, it's mocking. She is literally laughing at Aisha's trust, at her belief in the scheme, and at her belief in her. This tells you everything you need to know about the person behind the scam. And this is a really important point. For a predator like Ghazala, the money is almost a secondary prize. The real reward, the high, it comes from the control, from the power she felt watching people trust her completely, only to then crumble when she pulled the rug out from under them. It was a game, and human lives were the playing pieces. You'd think a story like this ends with justice, right? With the community rallying together and the person responsible being held accountable. But in the world of informal, trust-based fraud, the ending is often much, much more unsettling. Unbothered by the whispers, Ghazala Din simply moved on. By the time the full scope of her scam was even becoming clear in Washwood Heath, she was already targeting a new group of victims with a brand new scheme. The name of it was different, but the promise was exactly the same. Sisterhood, halal returns, and absolute trust. The con just continued. And that brings us to our final thought. This story is such a powerful cautionary tale. We started by saying that in a community, trust is currency. It's valuable and it's essential. But like any currency, you have to be so careful who you trade it with.